Full of greed, heart full of spite. Foodie can't see the light. Overeating, losing the fight. Greed, a hold attack day and night.
Welcome back. Today in this video we're going to take a look at the video Chantal uploaded yesterday where she showed us Salah apparently went out to collect some of this takeout food, and you can see there on the screen what she's had: ash, jarish and bukhari rice and chicken in Kuwait. Well, glad you added the Kuwait bit there, Chantal. We wouldn't have known otherwise, would we? Now, for some reason, she shows us them preparing the takeout food. I mean, riveting content, eh? Putting food into containers. She then tells us this is going to be a video going into more detail on some of these favourite foods that she discovered, she thinks, last week. Wasn't last week when you were ill, Chantal? And I'm sorry, but look at that slop. It looks, well, it looks like stuff I pick up after my dogs have been out. Or a cat's been sick, do you know what I mean? And look at that huge piece of bread. She makes a point of telling us that it's wheat bread. Like, that makes a whole load of difference. Wow. She tells us it's a Persian dish and makes the point of showing us she's got some pickles. She's always got pickles, hasn't she? Then she picks up the bread to tear it apart to start eating. Look at the size of that piece of bread. Wow. And, I mean, who she thinks she's fooling with those small amounts of food on her plate? What happened to all the rice that we saw getting prepared? Is she trying to tell us she's not eating any of the rice? I don't believe that for a second. And of course we see her eating. Now, what happened to no more eating on camera, no more mukbangs? Well, that's gone out the window, hasn't it? I'm not going to subject you to the eating noises because they are gross. But I will show you how she reacts. Look at the face. It's like she's getting off on it, isn't she? Now, as much as she's telling us this is healthy food, it doesn't mean it's healthy food for her in her current diabetic condition. And of course the obligatory shot of her shoving a pickle in. She tells us the meal is full of protein and healthy fibres and will keep you full for a long time. I can't see that keeping you full for a long time, but if you eat all of that bread, that will. And the rice. She says she loves how unprocessed the food is as she shoves another pickle in there. I mean, who is she kidding? You just know that she's dying for a KFC or a Burger King or something. She's not enjoying this, really. It's all for show. Now, this next bit is just ridiculous.
Coming from a place where there's so much processed food, like even in the grocery stores here.
So she's saying Canada has loads of processed food. Canada has a lot of fresh food as well. There's a lot of farms in Canada. They grow their own. Is she forgetting that in Kuwait, most things are imported?
You won't find highly processed packaged foods.
Really? She used to go to, you know, in Canada, it was her choice to go for the junk food and the processed foods and all the rest of it. She didn't choose healthy options there. And they were there, available for her. She chose not to. Let's just be clear. She shoves that in. Oh, that's enough of that. Also, she's shown us her groceries in the past. Not the most recent one, because that wasn't too bad, apart from the cheese. And the shit ton of bananas that will go off soon, which means she's got to get through a lot in a short space of time, which is not good for her diabetes. But in the past, look at all the processed food and cans of stuff that she's shown us that she's got in her groceries. I mean, who is she trying to kid? She's doing this for some reason. Is it for Salah? To make him think that she's not secretly binging? And the chocolate as well. In her recent grocery video, she showed us she got a bar of chocolate, and remember she exclaimed, "Oh, it's small." Well, that's processed, isn't it? Packaged.
for a huge bag of this fresh bread, there's a
Size of that bread again. Every time I see that, it's shuddering.
place that just makes bread in like a
Like, you mean a bakery?
big oven.
Big bread oven.
I don't like a big bread oven.
Like we don't know what bakeries are. Huh? What the hell is she on? She tells us that you can get the bread in packs of 5 or 6, and it works out about 45 cents. Right, cheap bread, cheap food. That's why she's getting it. Cheap, lots of it. She can shove it down her gullet.
It's very affordable.
You see her face there where she was wondering whether to say that or not. Not only affordable, it's very cheap. Saving money, eh? Because you're not getting the views you used to.
This, for a container like this each, and one container like this will last me 3 meals.
Yeah, which is what, maybe half a day in your world? 3 meals, half a day?
Is 400 fills each, so that's about $1.50.
Right. Okay. Cheap food. That's why. We're running out of money, are we, Chantal? Last YouTube paycheck not as big as you were hoping? She says we've seen her in the past get excited about unhealthy takeout food, but she says she's also excited about healthy, unprocessed food. Yeah, right. We've seen you trying to eat, like you were eating some broccoli the other day. It almost killed you to eat that with, you know, putting it on, pretending that that was hitting your buttons, eh? But this, I mean, just look at that. Another shoveling mouthful in. She is just going back to all her old habits. Cheap food, saving her money for a trip. Oh, that's right. July. She's got to do a visa run. That's why she's eating the cheap food, isn't it? Saving up for that travel, Chantal. She says she's interested in food from other countries and the culture, and you can learn so much. You can't learn so much just from food alone. You need to actually get out and experience it. And you're not doing that, are you?
Thank God for good food.
No. I would say you've got other things to thank God for. Maybe that you haven't gone into a diabetic coma just yet. You know? You should be maybe praying to God about your health. Maybe change your attitude, get a bit more motivated, you know, not for the good food, not currently. And throughout this, she constantly, while she's eating, watch this, she keeps touching her hijab. Food on her fingers, look. Bacteria spread or what? She almost looks like the top of a mummy, doesn't she? It looks like bandages. And I'm not being disrespectful, but that is just what it looks like, the colour of that, isn't it? And here we get educated about a bakery again.
It's like there's just a small building that just does bread, and you just see people lining up. So,
yeah. Bakery. Everywhere.
And for 45 cents for a bag, you can't beat that. You can't. Anyways, guys.
Yeah. More to the point, cheap food, cheap bread. She then says if anybody's watching who's in Kuwait and wants her to try any different type of cuisine or a restaurant, to let her know. But there's different cuisines, I would say, in almost every country in the world, isn't there?
It's very multicultural here when it comes to food.
Very multicultural when it comes to food. Yeah. Same as, you know, a lot of Western countries, a lot of other countries in the world. You're from Canada. Very multicultural there.
To food, and I'll tell you, the majority so far that I've seen, there's Afghani food. This restaurant's run by an Afghani person. Kuwaiti, Gulf country food. You know, Saudi Arabian, There's a huge Indian population here, so there's a lot of Indian run restaurants, Indian restaurants.
There's a lot of these restaurants. I can't believe she's saying this. There's a lot of large Indian populations in lots of countries in the world. It's not specific to Kuwait, you know. Why are you trying to make out that Kuwait is so wonderful for food? It has to import most of its food, doesn't it? I mean, come on, this is just crazy. What is she trying to prove here? And why is she taking requests for food? She should be careful what she's eating. So, you know, somebody sends her a request for a meal. It may be a meal that she can't eat, or she's not supposed to eat, or eat very little of because of her diabetes. She talks like her viewers are dumb, they're not well travelled. You know, I can only speak for myself. I'm quite well travelled, been to lots of different countries, including Canada. You know, you're not the only one, Chantal. And if you have any problems with your visa, back in, you know, in July when you've got to leave and come back, if you don't get back in, what are you going to do then? You'll have to go back to poor old Canada with all its shitty food and all the rest of it. Her words on, you know, processed food, junk food, which was her choice to eat when she was there. And then she still goes on talking about the different types of cuisine that you can get there. Syrian, Persian, Filipino.
But what interests me the most is the more ethnic food, you know, the more homemade food. So,
really? Then why aren't you making your own homemade food, huh? Instead of getting takeout.
I mean, I've had burgers and fries for days when I was in Canada. You know, I could, whatever, you can always get a burger, but you can't
That was your choice.
always have Jarish unless you're in the Middle East or you find like a niche restaurant somewhere, you know, but yeah. So, anyways.
Really? Are they really that niche? Anyway, that's it for this video. Can't believe she's done this, to be honest. It's like what happened last week, you know, the medical stuff. Ancient history now. We're just getting a rinse and repeat again, aren't we? Anyway, as usual, thank you for watching. Until next time, take care.
Belly belly full, but she want more. Anger rising, can't keep score. Money off the spend, can't ignore. Greed a joker till she can't adore. Belly full of greed, heart full of spite. Foodie can't see the light.